Hey guys, Birthday Nature Guy here on a beautiful but windy day. So hopefully the sound doesn't get too overblown with the winds that are howling around me. I'm sure you can probably hear it, or you can see the treetops moving right there. The wind is beautiful and definitely causing the leaves to fall at a pretty high rate today. And so might even have one. I've had a couple hit me as I'm been kind of getting prepped to make the video today. And today is all about what we call nature's bungee. And so not only will I do a little bit of work on just making ourselves present, engaging all of our senses, but then also just asking you to kind of find something that draws you in nature. And kind of the way I describe it is if you've ever been like walking along a beach or like the North Shore where it's all rocks, and also you're like, that's a really cool rock. Or this time of year, like on Instagram posts, you always see somebody like posting like, it's like one red leaf that stands out amongst all the yellow leaves, and for whatever reason it called to them and they're like, that's a really pretty leaf. That's beautiful. Love fall, you know, is kind of the post. But for whatever reason, that one leaf out of the millions that are on the ground called to them. Out of all of them, they saw it. It resonated with them for whatever reason, kind of got to them. Same thing like with a beautiful tree. They might like be walking through, you know, on a walk in their neighborhood. And they're like, oh my gosh, that tree is so beautiful. The colors are amazing on it right now because it's fall. And so I just really encourage you to kind of like engage with that, have fun with that, see what calls to you in this invitation today, and then just spend some time with it. So you might find one or two things. You might move a little bit. In regards to like maybe having 10 minutes, you might spend 5 minutes with one thing and then you kind of look over and you're like, oh, that's really cool. And just see the whole thing is all I'm asking, is just looking to see from that thing for everything that it is. And I think that's what we ask of each other, is to see who we are, all of who you are, not just one part of who you are. And so sometimes, you know, whether it be our good moments in life, our bad moments in life, we don't want just that one moment to define everything that we are, that we're much more than what we always see in an initial thing. You might just see the color of the leaves, but behind those leaves and those colors of those leaves on that tree is the branches and the bark and the roots and the sap and all the energy that runs and keeps it alive throughout this, you know, the stuff that we don't see inside a tree is all that stuff running in and, you know, up and into all that energy being drawn forward through the roots all the way to the top and producing those leaves all year. We don't always think about that. We're just seeing those red leaves in fall and thinking of its beauty that way. But there's a lot of things like this big tree behind me. That's the thing that drew me today, which is why I stopped to make the video. You got that funky, look at that funky trunk. So interesting. It drew me to it. And also, if you see all these leaves here, like full of leaves, full of leaves, full of leaves, but look at this empty space right there. And this tree has nothing. So it kind of drew me in today because it was just something unique, something different. And I kind of saw it from a distance and kind of walked up to it and have kind of spent some time just kind of looking at it and walking around it. And so it kind of is what prompted me to make the video with you all today on nature engagement. So, but just with all the videos, you know, I always kind of get us to kind of think about taking some time for ourselves to see what we see. And we'll start with our vision and kind of just taking some deep breaths in. Bringing things mellow, relax, slowing down a little bit. Just do that. I'm going to just shine my camera up towards the sky there, just for a little visual for you all. Take 5 or 10 seconds, just take some breaths. All right. And for our first kind of engagement of senses, I'm actually going to go with smell. So we're already doing breath and breathing in through our nose, out through our mouth. However we do that, maybe like, you know, I get pretty stuffy and kind of allergies right now. I'm breathing a lot through my mouth. Just enjoying that breath, but just drawing that air in through your nose. Getting that sense of smell that's around you today. All the things that are happening in nature this time of year bring on lots of smells, especially after rains. Today feels very dry and crisp. You can almost smell the leaves on the ground. If you want, you can actually pick some up. Oh, that's the coolest smell. If you ever rake a lawn and then dive into the leaves, that's got that smell today. So And can you hear that? As we move on to our next sense of sound, be from crunching of leaves to the wind in the trees. Maybe closing your eyes and letting your ears do the work. Give yourself a sense of space in this place. And then with that cool, dry air, maybe drawing it in over your tongue. Feeling what that air tastes like today. Just a couple different times. You're out in nature, nobody's watching. I know it feels a little weird to pull air in over your tongue. But it's actually very important. It's something I've kind of learned to enjoy over time. When I first started doing kind of forest therapy work and was kind of taught this technique of engaging senses, this was the one that kind of like would get in my head for whatever reason. I would kind of go like, what am I doing? But over time, it's actually one that I've really learned to enjoy and process what I'm like really consciously thinking about. What are the tastes? What's the density of the air? Is it dry? Is it humid? And it takes a little time to get used to that, but I really encourage you to keep trying that one. For me, it was the one that kind of took the longest time to get used to, because it's so often, like right now, if you want, you can start engaging your sight, looking around. I'm standing in a beautiful maple stand. Maybe seeing what's the farthest away from you, what's the closest, what's in motion, what is still. I'm noticing the flickering of the shadows on the bright leaves and that contrast between the shaded areas and those with bright sun on the ground. What are you noticing around you? And also, I can feel right here that sun coming down on my face, and this side of my face is shaded. So for this next kind of engagement of our senses, I want you to think about that sense of touch or feel. It can go from, walking up to a tree, kind of feeling that bark, feeling what that feels like. Like this right here is warm because it's in the sun, but over here, not so much. You can feel that temperature change. So really getting a sense of what that sun is doing to this bark and to this tree right now. So engaging your sense of touch, whether it be the sense of air going across your face or space that's covered like around my hand versus like where my sleeve starts. Like how does that feel? What is that difference there? The sun being in the sun or being in the shade in that little move. So take a couple minutes with that sense of touch. And lastly, we're going to do that sixth sense. We're going to spin. And I simply encourage you to shut your eyes and rotate around. I'm going to cover up the camera now with the camera lens with my finger. And I want you to do that in regards to your eyes and just find that space. If you can slowly take a spin around, I'm going to cover it up now and spin. And when you find that place that feels comfortable to you, And use that sixth sense to just kind of, this is a good spot for me to stop. And when you're ready, just simply open your eyes slowly and see what you see. And know that everything that you see is also seeing you. And that you belong here just like those trees, just like those leaves, just like the air and the clouds. That we all belong out here in nature. It's all good. Thanks, everybody. Now we're going to move towards that nature bungee. So I do want you to take a few minutes, and I'm not going to have this time. This is just for you after the close of the video. I want you to spend some time looking around, searching for something that draws your attention. Could be a particular leaf. Could be a tree, like for me. It could be a cloud that you see in the sky. It could be a bird or a squirrel or, or a broken log, could be as simple as just this log right here. It's all broken. It's just sitting here decaying right now, but if you really get up close to it, it can be really interesting and not something we spend a lot of time with all the time, is looking at how it interplays with the leaves and the earth, and just simply being with it and looking at all its textures, and how it's broken at the end, right here. How did it break? How did it get here? Sometimes the bungee is, the nature's bungee thing of like draws you to it is also what's its story. So how did that branch end up here? Like what caused that to be there and possibly be there for years? And it's still a part of what the animals and bugs and insects and in the woods, it still has a vitality to it because it brings a lot of good energy to the animals that are in need of it. So that's it. Take care, everybody. Nature's Bungee. Peace out, Bart the Nature Guy. See you later.